Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. We have a special selectmen's meeting. I call this meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Joe Shank,
Teresa,
present.
Teresa A. Moore, present.
And Chas Sexton Duranian present. Can I have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you for all those serving in the military currently and in the past. I appreciate your service. 1.3, the meeting is being recorded and then uploaded to YouTube. 1.4, Chairman's additions and deletions. I do not have any. Teresa, do you have anything?
No, I have nothing.
Joe, do you have anything?
I don't.
Okay. Eric, do you have anything?
I do not, thank you.
Okay. 2.1, review and approve collective bargaining agreements. Eric, this is all you.
Thanks. So we have two agreed upon collective bargaining agreements. They're in the SharePoint, and Joe has a hard copy. I don't know if you or guys were able to see them in the SharePoint, but they're
Yep.
for the clerical union and the supervisors union. If we could go over, if folks are amenable to going over, I think clerical union is first. That's okay. So the documentation that you see in front of you includes all of the changes that are proposed for the collective bargaining agreement. The first one, the first section that has an amendment is the exception, section Article 6A, holidays. There was some confusion about, especially for folks who don't work all 5 days, how you calculate 5 days of the week, so fractional or part-time employees that are in the union, how a holiday is calculated or what their holiday would mean for them. So this is kind of codifying the practice that we have been doing, but apparently for the last several town administrators, this has been a bone of contention. Some town administrators interpreting it one way, some town administrators interpreting it another way. So this that section is mostly clarification. It does allow in the final sentence, if you are a benefited employee, but not a person who, so if a holiday falls on a day that you do not work, you do get comp time for that holiday. You can take off at a later time. Article 7A is this next one that's changed. It's entitled vacation. So there's kind of a voluminous change here. And this is to implement the accrued vacation that we've talked about. As we discussed in prior meetings, we are going to allow them to roll over up to 2 weeks of vacation from the 1 week that they were previously allowed to roll over. And they are going to be accruing vacation, so it's effective at the end of the contract, but they will be accruing before the end of this contract their vacation at 1/12 per month, 1/12 of their annual allotment per month. And in the event that they want to take more than they've accrued, they can borrow from that year's allotment. So if you want to take a vacation in August, but you haven't earned all your weeks, you can take a vacation in August. But if you leave the town service before you've earned it all, you got to pay it back. Any difference that hasn't been accrued. And so that's kind of what we've been pushing for all the unions to adopt. And this is the language in this contract that adopts it. So that's comprises the bulk of 7A. There's also some language in here in the last paragraph, the last 2 sentences of Article 7A that specifies what 1 week of vacation means and what 1 day of vacation means for people who earn an extra day after they've earned 5 weeks. This is, again, that's clarification language. No gray area for differences in interpretation between the union and TAs going forward. Article 8A, this is a sick leave article. This would just allow employees to actually put time into the sick bank. The sick banks in town, for quite frankly, most of the unions have not been particularly effective. And we've been forced to kind of ad hoc, if there's an emergency situation, allowing people to donate sick time to a particular individual because the sick bank was not kind of functional. So this allows for a little bit more of a functional sick time. For sick bank, I apologize. Article 11 is to encourage folks to put funds into their FSA to allow for their healthcare benefits, which we increased at the last year when increased when we changed health insurances last year. So we're going to reimburse them for $250 if they put it into an FSA account. And that's only for eligible employees, which means benefited employees. You can't get an FSA account if you're not benefited. The next item, longevity, this is something we talked about, I talked to the board about, which is just upping the levels for longevity. They had also wanted to move it to the union had wanted to move it so that you got an extra $100 every year, but we wanted to kind of maintain the threshold because it saves the town some funds to maintain level funding during the interim years between 5 and 10 and between 10 and 15 and 15 and 20. Article 14A adds the clothing allowance to the Council on Aging kitchen manager, which, given the nature of that work, is the kind of thing that I think is an appropriate clothing allowance for reimbursement. And then Article 18, which is the last article that got affected with this contract, just lays out the 2% and the step for the 3-year contract years. So I didn't know if you had any questions or concerns they wanted to raise. And we talked about the bulk of these things during the course of the negotiations and executive session.
I don't have any questions. Do you guys have any questions?
I'm all set here.
Yep. Joe?
Good, Jess.
I didn't hear that.
Good, I'm good.
Okay, this is everything we talked about and I'm okay with all of this.
Okay, so we would just need a vote, a motion to approve the union agreement with clerical union as written.
I make a motion, we approve the agreement with the clerical union dated June 28, 2023.
Is there a second?
Teresa, you're muted.
She's trying to do the touchscreen and it's not working. But Teresa's trying to do the touchscreen, but she's
You
muted.
okay?
Okay, I'm
There
trying
you go.
desperately to unmute. Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Joe Shank,
Teresa
yes.
Morse,
Teresa, go ahead.
Teresa Morse, yes.
Joe Shank,
Joe.
yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
Now we will move on to the second contract in front of you today. This is for the supervisors union. This includes removing the facilities manager and the cemetery and park supervisor from eligible employees and adding the assistant town clerk. The assistant town clerk is only eligible under the caveat of the new language that we added. actions in town meeting and with the approval of the town administrator. So that was the compromise that I think we spoke about when last we discussed this particular issue. And then this was the cap of $3,000 overtime for the highway superintendent during winter operations. Again, as we discussed, it's cheaper to have Jim come in and drive a plow on overtime than it is to hire a contractor for the same hour out plowing. So when he is forced to do it, it's actually saving the town money that he's not having to hire an outside person when he's got a truck to do it. So
we'll talk about after, go ahead.
yeah, so this kind of that, and we capped it at $3,000 for the fiscal year. It's going to get paid out of his overtime account for snow and ice, which is an existing line. The holidays, we added Juneteenth. This union, we put in language that mirrors the language in the clerical union for the half day before Thanksgiving and the half day before Christmas. Then the vacation entitlement. Okay, so I apologize because there's a missing page. I only have 2 pages. Does the one you have 3 pages or 2 pages that got scanned in?
it goes from vacations article to licenses, then wages.
Okay, I apologize. That is my fault. I will be right back because there's a missing page that apparently is in my file but didn't get scanned in.
Okay.
Apologize for that, everyone.
That's
If
okay.
you refreshed your SharePoint, there should be an extra document in there. It's just you got a SKM number from the scan, and that's the missing page. So I apologize for that.
We'll forgive you.
The second page at the top it's a slightly different language for this union for what we're going to call the accrued vacation time, but it does go in effect immediately, and it has the same effect as the accrued language in the prior time, which is that they will not be able to get a windfall They won't be able to cash out any more vacation time than they've accrued in the fiscal year. And if they have taken more time than they've accrued, they have to pay it back. So that's the effect of that paragraph. There's another, the article 17 is the sick leave bank. Again, it's the same language we put in with the clerical union to allow them to more effectively use the sick leave bank. Article 18 is longevity. It's identical language to the clerical union for how we changed longevity. The article 19, the clothing allowance. Clothing allowance was up slightly. We made a kind of a typographical error, got changed for the cemetery and park superintendent. We added highway assessor and health administrator, but also got them to be to require receipts. So it's not just a check that everybody gets every year. They actually have to spend the money on clothing, and they only get what they submit receipts for. There is a provision so that they could get an invoice if they're going to be ordering something. We would give them the money from the invoice, but then they'd have to give the receipt afterwards, just to
The clothing allowance is for clothing that they're gonna use on the job.
use on the job. Yes.
So.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
When we talked with the police department, they had lists, they're gonna do it, but they had to be very specific
Yeah,
on
and
what
so-
you're gonna get.
And so this, I think, will provide both a level of oversight as to what the employees are spending it on, and also a chance that someone just doesn't spend anything that year and we're not just giving them a check for nothing. They can only spend it on work clothes.
Yes.
The third page, it authorizes the health administrator to get a town cell phone, but it has to be paid from the recycling revolving fund, kind of as we discussed. That's what she needs it for, so that needs to be the funding source for that. The licenses, this just it kind of lays out, I think a lot of departments are already doing this, which is paying for the licenses that the supervisors needed. This just kind of codifies that the town's gonna be paying for the required licenses, but not necessarily for any additional licenses. That, the description of the town administrator, or for what Roger was or I guess at this point in time, or David. And then the third, the article 32 is again the wages, the 2%, and so that being said, any questions, concerns?
Nope, this is exactly what we talked about.
Joe said you could just to take some.
Yeah, I'm good. How's that?
Teresa? She's okay. I'm taking the nod as a yes. Okay.
Okay.
So, Joe, could you do a motion for me, please?
I make a motion that we accept the Townsend Supervisor Union contract agreement, June 26, 2023.
And I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank yes.
Chaz Sexton-Duranian, yes.
Shake your head, Teresa.
Reese is muted.
Shake your head.
I think we'll just do 2-0.
All right.
Well, just two, yeah, we can do two for that. That's okay.
Oh, we know that Teresa doesn't have a problem with it, but
Got it. Teresa A. Morse, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
okay. All right. Okay. So those are the two bargaining agreements that we have in front of us. We're likely to have a couple more for the 11th. If we're lucky, we'll have all of them for the 11th. But I know there are two more that I think they're just waiting on official votes to be able to sign them and bring them up to us. And then we can talk about that more specifically at the executive session.
Okay. Well, good job on those, Eric. Thank you very much for your work on that.
Thank you. I mean, I'm glad that those two got signed, and
Good job.
I'm confident that we can get the rest of them signed shortly, hopefully.
So 3.1 next meeting is July 11th, 2023 at 6 o'clock PM. I'll ask for a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 2A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining and litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, which I do, and adjourn from executive session.
So moved. Second,
So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Teresa A. Morse, yes.
Joe Shank, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes. Thank you very much.